There is a lot of lore hidden in the long dark, some of which is only recoverable when the lights turn back on. In a hard-to-reach corner of Great Bear Island, a place rich in natural beauty can be found suffocating in its own remains. Ash Canyon is as interesting to explore as it is difficult to navigate. Within its canyon walls lies the remains of a gold mine, a climber's paradise, and the ashes of revenge. These are the memories of Ash Canyon. For these first two notes, I will read them back to back as they seem to be related. From Notebook page, Survival. Guiding these mainland tourist climbers isn't worth all their moaning. After we hit the high meadow, I'm going to bow out and head for that old gold mine my dad showed me. I'm already a week overdue on this trip. From Notebook page, Survival 2. Glad I had my good pack with me on this trip. Some chest pain on the trek past the high falls, but I expected that after the last surgery. Just going to hunker down in here until the storm passes. Tomorrow, high point at Wolf's Jaw, and head for home. These first two notes are likely written by the same person, as the first note mentions the gold mine and the second one can be found in the gold mine. The naming convention of the notes also suggests they were written by the same person and written back to back. These notes were clearly written by some kind of professional climber guiding a group through the canyon. Great Bear Island isn't a stranger to climbing, hiking, or other outdoor activities. It's easy to see why the region would attract all sorts of outdoors types just from exploring its many pathways, caves, and vistas. The notes also leave behind an approximate trail that this climber took, which started at the Climber's Cave, the location of the first note. From there, the whole group would head for the high meadow, and the author of these notes would leave the group from there. It would be very unprofessional for a guide to leave the group behind unless there was an additional guide to lead the group. That part doesn't matter too much though. From the high meadow, they would likely take this route to the gold mine that would later have a cougar in the way. The reason why I believe this is a route they took is because they mentioned visiting the Wolf's Jaw overlook after the gold mine. This was mentioned in the note from inside the mine. There are many different paths around the canyon that can take you to the same place, but this is the most likely route they took. The author of these notes planned to visit the Wolf's Jaw, but they never did. Inside the gold mine, next to their second note, you can find the body of the climber and tour guide along with the technical backpack and crampons they left behind. We don't know why they died, but it is likely due to the fact they just had surgery. They were having chest pains and the corpse can be seen holding their chests with their hand. There's no confirmation about what happened, but it is likely they passed away from a heart attack or another heart-related condition. From Mining Log page. It's gold, alright. Can't believe how much. Jesse wants to go even deeper, but we're all waiting on the foreman to give us the thumbs up. The vein we opened up looks like it could go on and on. Just have to be careful how we... The way this note, the Mining Log page, is written is rather strange. The flavor text says, a crumbling page from an old logbook, only partially legible. This could explain the use of ellipses and the cutoff in the middle of the sentence. There is more to this note, but it has been lost to time. This may suggest the note is rather old. One thing that bothers me about Ash Canyon, among the many things that I don't enjoy about it, is that the supposed gold mine has no gold. There are a few gold nuggets across Wintermute and Survival mode, and none of them are in Ash Canyon. It could be a sign that maybe the gold mine wasn't as rich as they thought, meaning there wasn't much gold to begin with. Going back to the flavor text, it suggests that the logbook used to write the note was old, but what does that mean? It could be an older style notebook that has been used over the course of a long time. We don't have any context on who or what is operating this mine. Like the rest of the island, almost everything is old, so it's probably not out of the question that even old notebooks get used as much as possible. Still though, there's the chance that this is a rather old note. From Diary page. Just about run out of excuses for keeping my mouth shut. Those miners might look down on me now, but if they keep digging on like they are... Too deep if you ask me. Much too deep. The last note to end this video is probably the most important for Ash Canyon, as it gives us a hint as to what might have happened to it. If you didn't notice, Ash Canyon seems to have a defective smoke alarm. This note, the diary page at Angler's Den, is from one pissed off fisherman that has developed some beef with the local miners. I'm not sure what exactly is going on here, but to me this reads like the miners are straight up bullying the angler, which is what I'm going to call them from now on since they live in Angler's den. The angler also seemed to be having an issue with the digging and possible explosive devices used to blast through rock. Now, I'm no therapist, but I feel like the angler had some issues they needed to deal with and they weren't doing it the right way. I don't believe this note is admissible as evidence in a court of law, but there is definitely a lot of evidence all around the region. All throughout Ash Canyon, you will find these matches along the edges of the many bridges that are labeled as arsonist matches, at least on this map that is maintained by Hoku Owl on Steam. This is a very fitting name for them despite being like any other set of matches. At one point, I thought that the burnt down canyon forest was just a forest fire. These can happen even as far north as Canada in the summertime, and we already know that Great Bear Island has warm summers thanks to Mackenzie. But the matches definitely seem a bit out of place unless you put 2 and 2 together. The diary page in Angler's Den and the arsonist matches may be related, meaning the angler could be responsible for a devastating forest fire. It also appears they were on the verge of burning the bridges too, but that clearly didn't happen. This is quite the overreaction for what sounds like mild bullying. I'm not saying that their actions were justified, but as a person that was bullied in grade school, I understand where they were coming from. No matter what the problem was between the miners and the angler, this was way too aggressive of an act of revenge. This also goes up on the list of the most fucked up things that have happened in the Long Dark's lore. We've got the first flare in general, the events from Rudiger's project, the death of the town of Milton and the schoolhouse, the Forest Talkers intentionally triggered avalanche, the massacre of the BlackRock employees, and then this. I can't think of anything else that I would consider to be as awful or tragic in nature in the universe of the Long Dark. While it is likely that these miners and the angler got out in time, as suggested by the lack of crispy dead bodies everywhere, I have my doubts if anyone came to help. Even if one of the watchtowers from across the island noticed the rising smoke, no one, not even the Great Bear Emergency Civilian Corps, would be able to help. Especially in the post-collapse times, rescue services seem to be mostly non-existent. We know for a fact that Mystery Lake was still protected as it was considered a provincial park, but Ash Canyon was not. One thing we don't know in regards to the events of this region is the timing of things. The timeline, though, is easy to figure out. The climber that died in the gold mine had to have died after the forest fire, as the miners would have noticed it. This would mean that the miners have not returned since the fires. The miner's log page's condition suggests that the note has been damaged due to time. It could also be partially burnt, but I feel like the flavor text would have noted that. I should mention that the memento cache note at Miner's Folly was clearly written by the angler and says, "I'll be away a while. Raid my catch as you please." With the fresh fish in the cache, it would suggest that the angler had recently filled it. To be fair, any meat or fish spawns in the game are generally concerning, especially in places that have been abandoned for weeks or months. When it comes to how long it's been since the fire, that is difficult to tell. I don't know how long it takes for forests to recover from fires, but there seems to be no evidence of recovery. It could be just a few months or years since it happened and seems, as expected, that no one came to the rescue. The lack of any sign of forest recovery is what makes me believe that this is a recent event during the post-collapse era. My best estimate would be within the last 10 years or so, considering the lack of a support for rescue services across the island. The older style notebook used to log activity in the mine could be explained by the fact that everything on Great Bear Island is old, but I will admit that is a flimsy explanation. With Cinder Hills, Last Prospect, Langston, and the many other smaller coal mines all shut down long ago, this gold mine might have been the last one to shut down on Great Bear Island. Besides these major events that took place within Ash Canyon, there isn't much left that comes to mind. I do find it strange how the Ranger Stew recipe would be made in such a remote place. With dwindling supply lines in the post-collapse era, assuming this is when the mine was in last operation, it would be very difficult to get everything needed for the recipe to Ash Canyon. It could very well be a remnant of long ago when life wasn't as hard on Great Bear Island. Thinking back to the angler, I can't shake this feeling that we just missed them during our adventures through Ash Canyon. This region always gave me an eerie sense of being followed, especially when you find freshly chopped up tree saplings that you never touched. On a last note, there was clearly a heist of some kind that took place somewhere on the island. The heisted item, the Curator's Rifle, would end its journey in Ash Canyon before being acquired by us in survival mode. If you want to know more about the Curator's Rifle or the Ranger's Stew, there are videos dedicated to the weapon variants and recipe cards of Great Bear Island. These videos will be linked in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like for the algorithm so I can keep making them.